Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. My name is Victoria Pikolska, and I'm the founder of Victory Art. And today we're going to have another of our great seminars together. Welcome today in the fourth seminar. I would love to mention that these seminars are by Visegrad Fund, are actually supported by Visegrad Fund. And today we're going to focus on finding your artistic style. Let me briefly introduce ourselves as well. My name is Victoria Pikovska. I'm the founder of Victory Art, and Victory Art is all about breaking stereotypes and building new perceptions. We're working with talented artists from Central and Eastern Europe, and we help them to come to the global art world. Today we're going to focus on a few things, but before we're going to jump to that, I would like to say that please be mindful when other people are speaking. Keep your microphones off until there is part for questions and answers. If you have any questions in the meantime, do not hesitate to put it in the chat, and have a great time. As I mentioned, these seminars are supported by Visegrad Fund, and we're going to work on these seminars with a few other great partners, the Chemistry Gallery, GJW Gallery from Poland, and as well Eric Kupsa's Gallery. Next week, we're going to have great seminars by the Chemistry Gallery, and it's going to be about your artistic portfolio. So if you need to work on your artistic portfolio, do not hesitate to join us as well next week. So this week, we're going to focus on finding your artistic style. This might seem as sometimes easy thing. However, this causes a lot of struggles to many artists. Because you as an artist, you have to find something what makes you stand out. And you have to think about what really makes you stand out. Well, every artist, every big artist who was in this world, like let's say Martin Rothko, or if we're talking about Marcel Duchamp, or even Basquiat, all of these people, all the people I mentioned had their own unique style. And your artistic style defines who you will be as an artist, who you will attract as an artist, and who will consume your art. Today, especially, we're going to focus on the business perspective of the artistic style, what is actually an art style, how to determine your medium, what are the different styles of art, but those are the things which we're going to mention only like in a few points. How do artists find their style, and the mistakes that will guide you. We have another people joining. Okay, perfect. We can continue. Welcome everybody who just joined. So now we're going to talk about finding your artistic style from a business perspective. Aside from being a really creative person and creating different artworks, what's definitely great, it is as well important to have your own artistic style. As I said, Rothko, Duchamp, Basquiat, Picasso, Frida Kahlo, like all of these people, they had their own style. And this is what made them stand out. They made something what was not seen before, what was very controversial at some point. People did not even know it. And that was why they got attention by so many people. So the best thing you can do in the beginning is to really ask yourself, what do I believe is my personal style? What do I believe is my strongest side? What is my value as an artist? And what am I willing to do? If you determine these few questions, especially one, what am I willing to do and what am I not willing to do? This is going to help your career in a big way, because as far as you do not have your specific boundaries as an artist, what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not willing to tolerate, you will be just pushed from side to side. You will not determine like really your artistic style. So think about these few questions, even take a few days and realize like really what are your boundaries, what's happening with us a lot, or like what we see in our work a lot is that artists are trying a lot of different things. I personally love it. I love when I see that artists are progressing, that artists are trying different things. However, majority of dealers, art galleries, art museums, institutions, funds, they do not like these kind of things because they believe that if you're an artist and if you're trying like too many things, that means for you that you don't know who you are. So be careful as well with presentation of these different artistic styles, because if it's going to happen, like if it's going to change a lot and it will be changing, I don't know, every 2 months or so, people will not actually know who you are. They will not know what you're doing. Think about it as a brand. Think about it, let's say, let's think about this specific thing as a brand, and let's have example of McDonald's. McDonald's is a well-established brand. McDonald's is on the market, I believe, for over 100 years. It started as a very, very small burger place. Then now it's like a huge franchise, which has many places all around the world. It's actually, majority of people think it's like fast food company, but it's actually a real estate company. So that's actually a very funny fact about McDonald's. But if you think about McDonald's, you know their logo is red and yellow. It's a place where you can get fries, where you can get Happy Meal, and where you can get burgers, cheeseburger, like all these basic things, right? They have this apple filled bag. What you can get there, they have cola. They have different like very American style of food. Imagine that McDonald's would start serving Greek food for 2 months. And afterwards, McDonald's would start serving Italian food. And afterwards, they would start serving Korean food. And afterwards, I don't know, they would start serving like Polish food. If they would change their style every 2 months, no one would know who they are. No one would know how they should perceive them. No one would know what they're actually doing. So put your art in this kind of perspective, because you as an artist, you're not artist, you're artpreneur. And your artistic style has to be consistent, and it has to be consistent with your brand value. And you as an artist, you're a brand. Your art is a product of your brand. These kind of branding tips and marketing tips, we will be talking about them, I believe, at the end of April and in the beginning of May. Someone else from Victory Art team is going to tell you more about the whole branding. It's going to be as well actually our CMO, who is going to discuss all these things further, and as well social media. So definitely stay tuned about all these things. However, for now, you can already start thinking about it. My art is a brand. I have to be more consistent with the brand. In terms of finding your artistic style, it's important to experiment. I always mention to artists that go try different things, try what works for you, try what you like, and based on that, find your style. However, it does not mean that everybody has to know about your style. It doesn't mean that everybody has to know about the fact that you're trying to change it, about the fact that you're trying to experiment with different things. The most important is that you as an artist that you find, or like you have specific brand and that you keep promoting the consistent art. For example, we have one artist, pretty new artist, who recently joined, and this lady is only taking pictures underwater, only underwater. The pictures are stunning, very amazing. I love it. And except having this one key element, which is like connecting all her portfolio, she's having as well this kind of style that it seems almost like a little bit fairy tale-ish. The water is creating is not making such a big contrast on the pictures as you might as you might be used to from the pictures which are usually taken nowadays, that there is like a lot of contrast and you just like see it immediately. But her pictures are very, very gentle, very feminine. So that's another connecting element. And the third connecting element is her fairy tale-ish topic. So she has multiple collections within her work, and one of the collections is very much focused on a fairy tale. So in each picture is kind of a fairy tale she creates, and she creates the dress, she designs it, she makes it, she produces all of it, and it looks absolutely stunning. And so maybe this can be as well like your idea, like, okay, I'm gonna, if you're a photographer, you're gonna have like a specific colorization you will be using, or if you're an artist, you might be using a specific brush stroke, right? If you're a painter, brush stroke, that can be something. And so think about what can be the connecting point for you. Before we're going to dive even deeper, we have to think about what is an art style. So art style is like this specific element of your work, which is consistent in all your works. A person can directly see it in that work, and that describes you as an artist. Developing this requires a really significant amount of time and practice and focus to do that. However, all of you are here because you want to progress further as an artist and you want to develop yourself further as an artist. And that's why it's important. And that's why I'm 100% sure that you are actually interested to put in the work and to put in the effort and amount of hours to do that. Different artists have different styles, and maybe sometimes it happens that artists might have like pretty similar style, but it still might vary in like a medium or messages. I personally believe that watercolors are, for me personally, a little bit similar to each other, but there are still different ways or messages people are putting in those specific works, right? So your artistic style can be as well incorporated in your message. For example, I believe it was last October, I went to a seminar about art in 21st century in 2021, and that specific seminar was only focused on the new technologies and how you as an artist can use different mediums to progress yourself further. And the presentation was very interesting and the technological part was very exciting. However, one thing what I remember the most out of this was a speech of one artist who was saying that that his artistic style is in being inconsistent. So his characteristical message was that he was purposefully destroying the idea of artistic style by doing different things. So for example, one of the projects he was doing was that he rented a gallery and he was inviting people to create artworks he designed. That was one of the things. Another thing he did was that he purposefully created artworks, and he mentioned that, okay, he put it in a gallery, and then he mentioned, you can buy this artwork if you're gonna buy this artwork, or you can buy this artwork only if you're gonna sell it to someone else for this price in this year. And he was really playing around with audience. He was very much challenging them, and he was even like pushing them to the point they got angry at him. And that was for me very interesting, because this was his artistic style. This was something that was characteristic for him. So maybe you want to be this brave and you want to even explore something like that. Before you can develop your unique art style, you as well have to think about the medium you will use. And this is key part, because what is your medium? You can have amazing messages or like ideas in your head, but how you want to make it work. Like, is it something you want to paint, or like you want to draw, you want to use acrylic or oil colors, or maybe you want to dive into more sustainable ways and even use colors which are from fruit, or maybe you want to create sculptures from recycled materials. What is the way you want to do? Maybe that can even be something you as an artist will build your brand on, that you actually create, you will start creating something from, let's say, trash, or like recycled materials, or only sustainable colors. Maybe you will brand yourself like this artist. Can be as well. That's a really great way to do that. So I believe that everybody who is at least a little bit skilled in the art industry or ever been in the museum understands that there are different styles of art and different genres of the art, and each genre has something else to offer to people. With modern art slash, we can as well like dive into it, contemporary art, uh, the explanation of the art is much more needed. So when people used to create like these classical realistic paintings, especially before 15th century, it was usually like writing a history. It was like keeping history for, you know, for the future. Nowadays, it's much more important to explain to people what you meant by creating specific artwork, because modern and contemporary art is more about idea and is more visual. So people look at it, they usually cannot really find element where they can like catch it, or like they can really like, the message is not very clear immediately. So with this modern and contemporary art, it's important to really incorporate message in the description, or or give like the viewer little bit of idea where they can like find the hint. With the abstract art, I'm personally very big fan of the abstract and expressionist art. uh, that really depends. Usually abstract and expressionist art is a little bit confused, and to be honest, it's very easy to confuse it. Abstract art can be as well art which is created from abstract elements, and there's like it's more visual than expressionist art, and it's more like you can connect even like different elements or even no elements, and you just like get the feeling out of that art. Like, it's not necessarily about the message. This one is more about like viewing it with your eyes, and like letting yourself loose in this process. In terms of expressionist art, this art is more about mood. It's all about artist mood, about artist thoughts, about artist expressionism, and this is really important to really mention something to client, to potential client, what it means. Uh, Very often happens that artists do not mention what their artworks mean, and then there might be a very big issue with this. For example, I can tell you one experience we had. It was not it was 3 months back, it was not a long time ago. A client ordered artwork by a great artist, and he was very excited. He was really like, oh, I love this piece, I want this piece. And artist went to hand him the artwork directly, and the guy still liked that artwork when he saw it, but then artist started explaining that that specific artwork was about her period. Usually it's not a problem, right? But if you explain that this artwork is about my period to a guy, to a man, to a male buyer who was not expecting this, his excitement a little bit dropped. And I sadly have to say that as an artist got a little bit negative feedback, because the guy was like, if I knew that it's about someone's period, I would not order this specific artwork. But he liked it still and he kept it. So in the end, it ended up well. But think about as well your potential buyer and the person who is viewing this art, like help them a little bit. In terms of realism art, this is very, very old style, as I mentioned before, very heavily used before 15th century. It was more used in like keeping or like saving the historical moment for the future. It it's getting it's having like its comeback in the past few years, and you see, like, for example, here on this picture as well, very young artists playing around with realism and maybe mixing it up with different styles, but having like this realistic element there. In terms of pop art, I think that that's something what does not have to be mentioned, especially because of Andy Warhol, who was, by the way, from Eastern Europe, from Slovakia originally, who was definitely the biggest artist ever living in terms of pop art, complete icon. We already discussed last week that he was as well amazing digital artist, and his digital works started to become more popular only in 2014 with the whole expansion of the digital art part. And pop art is was you can imagine pop art as like this American kind of style, very shiny colors, different colors, huge contrast, a very flashy, very salesy kind of stuff. Uh, with this one, it's more about using the mass culture elements and turning it into art. Usually, pop art is perceived as a little bit like a cheaper version of art. However, based on our experience working with pop-up artists, I can tell you it's everything but not cheap kind of art. Architecture design is as well something what's becoming very, very important since the middle of 19th century, right? Paris is perfect example of architecture and that style, because Paris was literally built as art, I believe, in 1910, when it was designed like the whole map. And if you're looking to different cities, like for example Rotterdam, where we have our office as well, Rotterdam was completely bombarded during the Second World War, and they made decision that Rotterdam is going to be the only city in Netherlands which is going to be like very modern, with skyscrapers and very, very like out there, very westernish. And so that's as well different kind of style, but I believe this does not completely belongs here. So How you can find your artistic style. One of the ways you can try to do is to copy the artist you like or you aspire to. I'm not saying to go and like directly copy it, because that's fraud, and you don't want to do that. That's very illegal. We already had people who were applying to Victory Art, and while scanning their portfolio, we found out that they literally stole everything from some other artist, and that's something what can cost you 10,000 euros in European Union. So be careful about that. But if you're like doing baby steps and you do not plan to sell it, or you do not plan to necessarily promote it, you can try as well to get idea what your icon is doing and try to kind of reproduce it, but make sure that if you want to really sell it in the future, adjust it. Don't sell the complete copy. It's good to get idea, it's good to be inspired, but there are as well limits of being inspired. So you can, but the best way you can get inspired is to really copy the world which is around you. So mimic nature, study light, study colors, study shapes, study people. Depends as well on what style you have. I know we have at this point one artist who's combining uh, abstract art with realism. So she has like this really cool style, abstract paintings, but at the same time, like she's putting like figurative art in it, and that looks really interesting. Usually, people are only focusing on one kind of art, but if you combine it, then you might really find your unique style. Or for example, we have another artist who is currently living in Czech Republic, but she has as well some ancestors from Africa, and she is actually elaborating in this, and she is using this in her advantage. So she puts different elements of African art in her artworks, and it looks stunning. She plays with colors, right? Sometimes she's doing it black and white, sometimes she's using blue colors, sometimes she's going like really nicely and having contrast colorful paintings, but there is recurring topic, so when you look at it, you know it's her. So another way is to practice consistently, because you will not find your style unless you will be consistent in what you are doing and what you are working on, because you only become master in what you are and who you are as an artist by doing it consistently. Step out of your comfort zone and do not hesitate to push your skills further, to ask more skilled artists to help you out, to ask them whether they can help you, to ask them for consultancy sessions, to even join studios of like more famous artists who are teaching people to paint. Definitely, like you as an artist, you are able to lose your skills if you're not working on your art. And this is serious. You might be an artist in your heart, but it does not mean that you can still do your craft if you're not practicing it consistently. And make time to play. I know, especially females are can get very busy, especially when they have children. It gets so demanding. But even though it's important that you as a person, as an artist, you have time to explore, you have time to explore your limits, you have time to explore your new ideas. So work on that one. And remember, it takes time. It really takes time to find your style, and you're gonna go through different styles in the beginning until you make decision that, oh, this is something what I am, who I am, and what I really want to do long term. And as mentioned before, consider the story behind your work. The story is important. If your artworks do not have story, then it's a problem. That's something what we often see with less skilled abstract and expressionist artists. And you have to train your eye to really see it, to really understand that this specific artist, this specific person is just like putting a lot of colors on canvas, but there is not anything there yet. So think about what's your topic and how can you properly communicate it with your clients. So another amazing questions you can ask yourself is, are there elements of design that I tie with my pieces together? Like what is that key element which is like making my work consistent? What theme do I show in my artwork the most? What kind of subjects am I drawn to, and what inspires me the most? What kind of art I enjoy creating? Because if you do not enjoy creating the artworks, no one will enjoy looking at it. And does your art stands out from other abstract artworks, and how it stands out from this specific style? So think really about things what makes you unique and build your brand around it. So creating and showcasing your personal style is definitely one of the biggest achievements of every artist, because once you find yourself, people will start supporting you even more, because they will know who you are. They will know that you're a strong artist, that you know what you're doing. And this is what actually attracts clients. They need to know that you know what you're doing. Don't try to like force necessarily yourself to specific style. It should not feel as doing like super tough job. If you are just a person who is not into figurative art, but you're still like, I want to do figures, but you obviously are much stronger in abstract art, try to combine it, or try to make it work for yourself somehow. You can even do like abstract figures, right? You can really find like work with what makes you unique and what brings you as well pleasure. Well, the mistakes will always be there, and do not feel discouraged that there are mistakes. You will fail when you will be creating your art. You will mess up. Sometimes it's not going to look the way you want to, even though you're trying hard. But this is what is bringing you forward. This is what's progressing you. And these obstacles are super essential to the process, to what you are doing. And it's just a matter of persevering through the rough times. So just keep going and it's going to be fine. Well, this is the time when you should ask all your questions. Are there any questions at this point? After that, changing his artistic style, you were talking. To be honest, thank you, Anka, for this question. You would like to know the name of the artist that kept changing his artistic style I was talking about in the beginning. I'm going to actually send you directly to your email his name, because I don't remember it from the top of my head. I know it was Dutch artist. I know he's based in Amsterdam. Those are the only two things I remember, but I'm going to actually send you his website. Yes? Are there any other questions at this point? No, gladly, Anka. Well, if there are not any other questions, I would love to mention that next week we're going to talk about how to build your artistic portfolio and how to start your career from scratch, and we will be talking about creating the portfolio, making it very unique, making it interesting for galleries, and we will go all the way up to approaching art galleries. Next two seminars will be hosted by our great friends from Chemistry Gallery. So definitely brace yourself. I think it's going to be very amazing. Those guys are very skilled in what they're doing. They're really great. So definitely stay tuned. And yes, if you need anything from our team, or if you would like to book consultancy sessions with us, you can directly message to our curator at curator@victoryart.eu. And now I would love to wish you an amazing evening. Bye.